Greetings, geeks. Welcome to Geeks in Space. This is episode 620. I'm Rob Commander Taco Balda, and we are talking tonight about the 1986 film Short Circuit, which I must do with my cohorts, my fine friends, Chris DeBona.
Hi.
Rob Roseboom.
I watched this whole thing.
You did. And Nate Ostendorp.
Same.
This is definitely a film we saw.
Yeah, I think. What did I say on channel? I said,
It's a movie.
That movie was a movie. It was a movie's length generally, and had people acting in it.
Yeah.
So.
It is mercifully only 98 minutes long.
Yep.
It was a mercy.
I did not remember. Now, maybe it's just time, but I don't remember this movie being this stupid when I was a kid. For me, I hated nothing more as a child than movies for kids. There was just something that a young Rob Roseboom hated about being pandered to in movies.
Actively loved this. Now, granted, I actively loved the television edit of this movie because we had it on, taped off TV on VHS. But this was, if you would talk to 10-year-old Nate, this was in the core pantheon of favorite movies.
I'm with you. That's why I picked it for my choice. I'm down now to about 5 movies from my old VHS bin that we haven't covered, and there's some stinkers coming. But this is the one so far of all the movies that we've seen. This is the one that has fallen the furthest, I think, in my esteem.
And that's including Space Camp and Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah. See, I knew as a kid that Space Camp was schlock, and I still enjoyed parts of Flight of the Navigator, even though it's pretty flawed.
I think we finally agree on something when it comes to these movies, Rob.
the relative rankings?
Because for me, I thought I didn't really like this movie, but I thought it was, fine. But watching again now, oh man, is it rough. The acting is terrible.
The acting is extraordinarily bad. It gets by on basically one-liners, some kind of effective effects, which I respect the practical puppetry stuff, but we'll get to that, I suppose. Let's start. We can start right off with the font. Chris and Rob, you guys are obscuring it really well. I love this font. This typeset. All of this. This is in my my nerd wheelhouse.
It is not the font though that you see in most of the movie posters.
Yeah,
true. Which is always a pet peeve of mine. I prefer it when you have consistent branding between the title card and the poster. But
I actually love the beginning. I think it's neat that it's like a little how it's made for the robot.
The first 15 minutes in the robot lab, I kind of thought, I'd forgotten there was so much robot nerd stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
well,
plot happens.
There's a lot of gays, but okay. I'll talk to this point later. Let's see.
Similarly, I was surprised at how many awkward sexual advances with the robot.
We probably marked them all.
Did. It was definitely on the odd side.
So Rob, I bet I know what you're going to say here.
I kind of like the contrast of this. Last week we had Joe versus the volcano. It was very subtle, sort of well made, and then we have this where a tank drives under the flowers.
Just in case.
You don't pick up on nuance. The military is the bad guy in this movie. So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to point out here, although Nate has a note too. First of all, this is a John Badham movie, and John did some great movies.
Save it.
Really fun ones.
Save it for the dance scene.
Oh, we're not there. No, well, anyways, the point is, I wanted to say that this laser is extremely powerful. No laser is this powerful, especially in that size of a chassis.
Right.
I do feel like this is part of the 80s laser novelty where lasers mean things explode as opposed to things just get really hot in a highly localized area. Like,
Right.
and I could kind of buy it if they were like maybe shooting the gas tanks or something. But then when they blow up a tank, I'm just like, no, sorry.
Yeah, this is the laser that makes everything explode for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the magic plot laser. See, I always thought that it looked like it was about the size of, in this era, I would have been collecting baseball cards. So I always thought that he was like the long box for baseball cards on his shoulders.
Oh, okay.
So I probably drew dots on and play Johnny Five as a kid.
Plus, this also raises the question where we talked about in the Terminator, right? Where if you were going to have a robot that's designed to kill people, having it look kind of like a person is one of the stupidest things you could ever do.
Yeah.
You know, all of these should look like boxes of candy bars or a random softball, you know, or something like that.
Well, if there's anything that I learned from many, many seasons of BattleBots, it's that the winning robots are usually the ones who are squat to the ground and then have some ability to self-right, which Johnny Five does possess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Johnny Five doesn't have a super low center of gravity, though. I mean,
But
he's got a lot of weight
he
above.
writes himself regularly through this movie because it's a kid's movie, and you know it's a kid's movie because people or robots in this case are constantly falling over.
I actually I don't hate the design of Johnny Five. Like it's plausible, right? Like it's not completely idiotic.
Sid Mead,
Mead,
he did Tron, man. I mean, come on.
He did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he did
the spinners and Blade Runner. I mean, he's a legit designer.
You know what would be a challenge would be to find a article or a news clipping or whatever about Sid Mead that does not include the word futurist.
Yeah. Well, the problem with this movie is not the design of the robot.
No.
The robot is, it's great.
The robot is as iconic as I was trying to write a tweet for how to introduce this, and I was trying to think of like robots that are more iconic than Johnny Five. You basically in this era have R2-D2 and C-3PO, and
the Terminator.
I think that the Terminator would be even less so because I think the Terminator was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Just cyborg.
Hal I'd put in there, but again, in the to an 80s kid, to an 80s kid.
Yeah, to an 80s kid. It's this one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Here's our nerd, or our other nerd, or will be a nerd,
nerd.
It's not until I watched this movie, finished it today, that I realized why this movie resonates so hard. Is that because it is again the story of nerds and bullies. It is essentially the same thing, but with this guy realizing that he has to stand up to the jock bullies in the military. And it turns out I have things that press my buttons. These graphics are all period accurate. I like that. Nobody's trying to do something weird and fake on that screen.
Although there's a shot later that I have a contention with.
There's a few later.
What's funny is the number of crossover actors from Police Academy in this movie.
Right.
Well, sorry. And what I mean by funny is how very unfunny.
Oh, so you don't want to know that Police Academy Citizens on Patrol is also on my someday list?
Better fucking... I might be at a 10. That's all I'm going to say.
I marked this time code just because, and Chris having brought up, keyboard nerddom right before the broadcast, we get these super small form factor mechanical keyboards, which are really only used as remote controls for the robots in the movie. But I liked them. I thought they looked kind of cool.
I think that
it looks like it's like a CNC keyboard from a factory. I don't know where this keyboard came from, but it's neat.
It's got the mixed keycap colors.
Yep.
It's got it's whatever, not even 10 keyless. It's
it's one of the super small form factors.
Yeah.
I'm guessing I'm not the only one, but I might be the only one that's subscribed to the Reddit /r/ is it MK, the mechanical keyboards forum. So I see keyboards that are variations on that shape and size regularly. You could find a good hero shot of that keyboard, screenshot it, throw it on mechanical keyboards, and I bet you would have got some upvotes for that.
Probably.
I'm glad that these $11 million robots make drinks.
Yep.
I thought it was sort of sad that they had to make drinks.
Oh, for sure.
And this is our first introduction to Ben, who I feel like, you know, Aziz Ansari, you know, kind of held him up as an example of,
For sure.
you know, in Indian whitewashing or whatever.
But not the worst example of it.
But
you know?
I actually found it kind of interesting, at least in the Wikipedia page, the story about how he had been cast in the role, he got fired in the role, and Bronson Pinchot,
Balky Bartakamus
was cast in the role,
who also doesn't look Indian in the slightest.
Well, and I don't know, it wasn't supposed to be an Indian character according to him, but was supposed to be sort of the geeky foreigner, and then he left for Perfect Strangers,
mm-hmm.
and then what's his name?
Fisher Stevens.
Fisher Stevens kind of came up with this replacement character. So I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah.
It is problematic.
Yeah, but it was less problematic than I was expecting, honestly.
There's a lot of things that, like, I didn't know that he was in brownface.
That's problematic,
right? Because, well, I mean, 10-year-old me. I mean, I grew up in West Michigan. There were not a lot of Indian people
this was the
in
brownest
West
person
Michigan.
you ever saw? Yeah.
Oh no, there's lots of migrants.
Yeah, but not where I went to school. Very few, so it didn't even occur to me. 10-year-old me wouldn't have even known that was a thing. He was a guy who talked funny. The nerd thing trumped anything else about that character. He was a dork. He was awkward.
So you loved him for that?
I loved how awkward he was. But because Guttenberg is confident in this movie, and that's actually from like the Wikipedia thing, they were saying that one of the problems with this movie is that the script was written for the Guttenberg character to be kind of disconnected.
Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah. Maybe a little more spectrum-y.
I think we can all take solace, though, in knowing that the Guttenberg reign ended, right?
Yeah.
Because watching this, I thought, how in the hell did you get so many movies? Because you're awful.
Yeah,
I was reading.
He was in a half a dozen like really big deal movies in the 80s, and then poof, gone.
No, I mean, I have to tell you, 3 Men and a Baby, and then it was sort of all downhill after that. He was in. I mean, he's in a lot of good things, and then he becomes just a working actor. He goes and does little things here and there. You know.
I just marked this mostly because of the Robo Bird, which is I think 10 seconds later, but where he flicks off Ben with the arm. That I just remember that scene from my childhood. That was
Oh, you have a robot that could give the bird. You're just so cool, Steve Guttenberg.
10-year-old Nate respects that.
Oh, for sure.
And the thing is, if Guttenberg had put a little more effort into it, I don't want to talk to the public. That's crazy. Like if he had been a little more. The problem is he's too much of an extrovert. He's too much of of course I'm going to talk to the public. It's who I am. It's like that's his look. That's his thing. And I read like an article about him. They're like, yeah, Steve Guttenberg has a charming presence that was inappropriate for a nerd.
Yep. This is bad casting.
Yeah,
that's what that is. At least for the movie that was scripted, and I guess for probably a movie that maybe would have held up a little better and not been for small children.
We already kind of mentioned it, but I found it extraordinary how much money must have been spent on robots serving drinks,
Yeah.
making drinks. I mean, You complain about $1,000 screwdriver and $500 toilet seats. I mean, this is where all the money's going, right?
Nobody spends money like DARPA, baby.
But I mean, this one in particular is awesome. It's literally an exposed circuit board, like without a frame. It's like one of those small form factor cases that people make, like the open air test benches, with alcoholic beverages, sugary beverages on top, at a party where these people have been drinking. They are salesmen. They are people who are out to be wined and dined. This robot is getting knocked over, and it is getting filled up with G&T before this party is over, for sure.
It's true.
Well, so my question, I don't think Nate mentioned this, and I kind of expected him to. The thing about all of these robots is they can take your head off. These servos are powerful, and there's no red tape. There's no kill zone tape. I mean, this is really irresponsible roboting. Let me be clear.
No safety
megaton
curtains.
bomb right up the middle of Main Street, Moscow, like the mailman bringing bad news. We call it Operation Gotcha Last.
This is like, this is so 80s.
Yeah.
It's very strange Lovian, right? Like,
Yeah. But like, not enough. Like, they didn't want to go all the way to being insightful. It's kind of lazy. Basically, the whole movie is basically like, we're just going to go so far, but then to do more would take work and good actors.
Right,
know?
but to do less, you get Mac and me.
Yeah.
So here's our origin story.
Very Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happened with all the power surges I ever had with electronics.
So what I wanted to tell you is, that was the 1019 one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have to let it play here for a little bit.
Jesus H. God! What the hell happened?
All right, stop. The thing I wanted to say here is, first of all, Jesus H. God. No one's ever said. It's not funny. It's not being said by the funny foreign guy.
You would have told me that was in the TV edit, that was an edit, like an ADR. Like that, I would have assumed that.
Huh. Interesting.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus H. God. I mean, it's just, and the thing I wanted to point out is, at no point has lightning ever worked this way. It doesn't dance over the shroud of the generator. It doesn't go down the pipe cables. That's not how this thing works.
No, that was way more Palpatine. But also, this is like, guys, install the surge protectors, install the UPSs. You don't want your household electronics to gain artificial intelligence.
It's going to hit the lightning rod. It's not going to hit any of this stuff. Fine.
That's your problem.
They don't understand lasers or lightning.
Is that Rob?
It says CT.
Is that me?
1124. Yeah, that's Rob.
Yeah, I was just going to point out, they had just talked before this about how they can send them out to the Arctic, to all these different areas, and then you see them go through this hallway, right? Like tilting, like, yeah, nothing can stop these things except a grade of 30 degrees or more. I mean, these things are about ready to tip over, just taking this corner.
They got RoboCop problems.
Such a stupid design for if you want something to go in all terrain. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
So this is the moment that I realized that this movie was different than what I remembered as a kid, for sure.
Originally, I had non-military purposes in mind. I designed it as a marital aid.
So I had to pause this for a little while and just think about how you turned Johnny Five into a marital aid. I had a lot of thoughts, but
he's trying.
Yeah.
That's clearly part of the original design.
Yeah. That programming ain't coming out with just a reformat.
That's just distasteful.
It's a funny joke. Oh.
So this is, yeah. All right.
Yeah, he's chasing one of the bar bots that is vaguely female, and it's his first sort of Mackin event, and then whack, gets hit by the trash bot and gets put on the trash cart. We're 11 minutes in, or 12 minutes in, this was the point at which I thought, oh, this movie is still somewhat maybe funny.
It's a good gag, although I do question the security in this installation if it's that easy for your robot to get out.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's practically Three's Company level hijinks.
Yeah.
There's tons of things that are problematic with their setup. I mean, security is just one of many.
The fact that they spend like 20 minutes before someone gets in a car and goes to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a line, I don't know if anybody tagged it, but it was, can we get a van? It's like, yeah, of course you could get a van. We are the military, and an $11 million killbot has just escaped.
I don't know. We're the United States Army. Let's see if we have access to a van.
I mean, and they just destroyed, what, $40 million in tanks and trucks? You know, it's like,
Right?
come on. They've got this stuff lying around.
So this bothers me, but mostly because the font appears to be spanning multiple lines of like an ASCII keyboard or an ASCII screen layout.
Malfunctioning, Rob.
I understand,
malfunctioning.
but if it's going to malfunction, Chris, it's going to show upper ASCII characters. It's not going to somehow invent new letters that span multiple rows. This bothers me more than it should.
Yes.
Are you saying they're not accurately portraying computer technology at the time? I mean,
Yeah.
in this movie?
You're going to really hate a scene that comes up a little bit later.
Just one?
Just one.
Here it comes. And
So I was thinking about, so we were talking yesterday about that Flight of the Navigator SFX cool video, and they were talking about the renderings of the spaceship from Flight of the Navigator were like the actual wireframes were used in the scenes in the lab, and they were actually pretty costly to render. And this is probably not that far off. This was probably an expensive graphic to put into this at the time, which is weird.
Or it was just an Apple II.
What if you don't catch it? What if it goes out and melts down a busload of nuns? How would you like to write the headline on that one?
nun soup.
So I was like, I'm going to give it to them. That was a legit
joke.
good line. I enjoyed it. And this was all filmed, it turns out, in Astoria, where the Goonies was filmed. So I was like, wow, okay, there you go.
So actually,
the parachuting scene is so dumb.
no, I think this scene though kind of adequately sums up the movie. So like, if you want to watch like cute, goofy robot scenes, like this is going to be the movie for you.
Yeah.
If you find this stomach churning, yep.
Yeah.
This is the moment. The shark jumping moment.
Wee.
I think that anytime a character in a movie says "we," I think that's a problem. Does that dog, is it missing a leg?
Yes, it's a three-legged dog.
All right. It's never stated, right? Because as an adult me...
No, they figure you'll just tell.
No, I wasn't sure if this was just child me being inobservant about a dog or if it's not like mentioned in dialogue or anything. Because I mean,
I think there was a scene that ended up being deleted on the cutting room floor where she cuts the dog's leg off,
dude,
so she can care for it more. It's like a Munchausen
she was hungry
by proxy, you know, because she's very sympathetic towards animals, but the dog didn't need her enough.
The python needed something to eat.
It didn't test well with the audience. So speaking of not testing well with the audience, this I thought was like a really jarring part of the movie, because this is where you find out he's not just a jerk. He is literally trying to steal this dog to sell it for medical research. You know, he's straight up evil.
And let's be clear, this dog would not be suitable for medical research. You know, I mean, he's already injured. You know, he doesn't have any outward diseases that are useful in the lab. And, you know, he's very old. So, I mean, he's not even going to get much for the
There's also quite a bit of physical domestic abuse going on here.
I have to admit, I came out of this movie really thinking less of Ali Sheedy for taking the role.
Well, let's. that for some reason, her smashing that car is one of those shots that always resonated with me. This kid's like, wow, she's really mad. She's gonna hit it. She's gonna damage a car, which I think
Trans Am.
Yeah,
a car that he bought with her money,
I know.
which makes it her car.
Yeah, which is just not smart by any reasonable measure. No, like I think there's probably because the fear of scratching a parent's car in my household was probably so like high up on the infractions that that 10-year-old me could have done. Like, wow, that's serious, man.
I mean, so this is actually one of those moments where I sort of think better of my parents because I blew up some experiment with a chemistry set and it covered like all the cars with purple dots. And I didn't get in trouble for it. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So
yeah, strangely enough, there was an episode at my house where the entire garage was filled with chlorine gas. We won't go into how that happened. but
were you making napalm?
Upon discovering it, I didn't get in trouble either. My dad's just like, don't ever do that again.
You could die.
Right?
So yeah, anyway.
God damn it, don't ever call me that. You don't even know what it means. Yeah, well, I can find out.
Also, this may come out bad, but I hate how sort of cartoony the domestic abuse is in this.
Yeah.
Like, I would almost, they really throw punches at each other, so you take it more seriously. It seems like they're making a joke out of it, and that just really bothers me.
It's distasteful, you know? Yeah.
Girls, with brassieres and legs. Do you have a working knowledge of girls?
No, but I read about them.
Well, then, maybe I can furnish you with some schematic drawings.
I think that's funny. I still think that's funny. Maybe I can furnish you with schematic drawings. Nerds.
I mean, you'd have to take a look at him, right? Just to see what he's doing.
For science.
So you can tell your friends later. You'd be like, all right, you know that weird guy I was telling you about? Catch this.
Turns out if you give him access to a plotter.
Thinks a girl looks like.
Well, these guys invented these robots, right? That's what they think. Like that's something to them. They have to make the feminine version of that, right? Oh, it would be horrible. Did they probably do that in the sequel?
I don't remember the sequel.
So
I don't know if I'd seen it. So.
I know for a fact that I saw the sequel in the movie theater. I don't remember a millisecond of it.
Yeah.
It's probably
so the other thing I wanted to say is
I remember oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Nate. You remember?
I remember the part of the sequel where they hack into like an elevator with a touch tone phone or something like that. There's some scene about that. That's all I remember of the sequel.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say was I started counting the different species she had.
Yeah.
You know, she had birds, ferrets, mice, owls, raccoons, skunks, cats, dogs, and a robot. So
it's a menagerie. This is another thing that
it smelled so bad in her house.
I bet.
Can you imagine? I mean, the ferret alone.
To be fair, skunks and raccoons don't need to be rescued. Like
they're actually fine where they are.
Like rescuing a possum that you found in your garbage can.
Exactly.
No, that's paradise for him.
Yeah. Just keep throwing stuff away. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is another one of those things that I remembered that she had some animals, but I'm watching this, like, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. And she's not this stupid.
Well,
I hate it when people play this dumb. You know? It's just really bad writing.
Well, I don't know that even if the writing is the issue. Ali Sheedy in this movie. So you've talked before about how you grooved on her in other movies that we've watched.
I loved her in War Games.
This is the first thing, and to this day, if you tell me Ali Sheedy, this is the role that I perceive,
Stephanie.
And she's horrible.
She's terrible.
Every scene is like
it's
that horrible speaking down to you or yelling.
Yeah. No.
It's really a thin character, and
bad for domestic violence advocates. I mean, it's just bad, you know?
Yeah, it frustrated me. So I have a hard time actually with her. I like her in Breakfast Club, but War Games is such a
She's so good in War Games, you know. She's a confident young woman,
and I can see it there, but I can't. It's almost like it's a different actress to me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's a different person. We've never seen them in a picture together, so
that's true.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I hate DeBarge.
This is a plant. See? And these are goldfish.
DeBarge is Grand Rapids' finest musical export. I think
That's a Grand Rapids band.
that is a Grand Rapids band.
Oof.
I don't know that anything out of Grand Rapids has hit as hard as Here's Johnny.
DeBarge. Well,
I hate
Floyd Mayweather Jr. probably hits a little bit harder, but
I was thinking Amway, or that lady who tried to ruin the school systems a few years ago.
Also part of Amway. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, to their credit, throughout this scene, basically everything that Johnny Five is going to need is demonstrated in some way, shape, or form. He watches the Three Stooges and demonstrates cooking skills. All of the little things are. This is the dancing number is essentially the musical. Let's set up all the setups for the rest of our movie, and then the rest of our movie is just paying those things off one at a time.
Yeah.
And I, while watching this movie, Shazammed this song because I did not know who the name of the artist was. I had to look it up, and now it is forever in my music collection for me to listen to.
How would you do that to yourself?
This movie apparently, though, was the vehicle for this song to be a hit. It was published as Short Circuit soundtrack.
So somebody tweeted to me when I posted that we were doing this on the Twitters. They tweeted the video. And I watched the video to this song. And in the video is a cardboard cutout of Steve Guttenberg and the actual living Ali Sheedy. And DeBarge singing, they're in a courtroom. And she's I guess, on the stand as a witness. But Steve Guttenberg is only a cardboard cutout. Johnny Five appears as a hand occasionally that wanders around. And then during the second verse, the testimony is a TV showing clips from the movie for 40 seconds.
That's a lot to unpack.
It's very 80s.
DeBarge. Very Gordy.
Jerry's input.
I'm giving you great input.
I just liked that line, and I felt like it was very representative of Ali Sheedy's character.
Right?
I'm giving you great input.
Yeah. But she gives him the dictionary. And then he learns to say all the synonyms at every available opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And to say he needs input. So we've got catchphrases down.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Where are you from, anyway?
Bakersfield originally.
No, I mean your ancestors.
Oh, damn. Pittsburgh.
Gutenberg's
Again,
look.
I will say Pittsburgh is the site of the CMU robotics lab, right? So where they got a lot of their inspiration for the thing. So I kind of like the idea that this guy was at the CMU robotics lab. So that would have been appropriate for his career.
I buy all that. That's definitely what happened in the research for this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Between drafts 3 and 4 when they changed that character.
Beautiful Stephanie.
Yep.
At this point, I still hadn't quite registered it as overt, and I think in 15 minutes we're going to get to the the point where I'm just like, oh God.
Hello. Yes, I'd like to speak to one of your head warmongers, please.
Dr. Warmonger. Marner.
I like that. Head warmonger. Dr. Warmonger. I like that line. That was a good cut. Good.
That was cute. Yeah.
I can see why child me enjoyed this.
I'm just picturing the actual lab admin who picks up the phone and just hangs up. She's like, psh.
Here's another wee moment.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
They've got the little squeezed box music in the background. We've got the completely unrealistic physics of him jumping.
Yeah, totally not suspended by a crane.
It's just a good thing the Discovery Channel didn't exist then, because you can imagine what he'd do, say, if he watched lions killing antelope. Or if it was Shark Week.
Yeah.
You know?
I have to
Who
go
knows
to
what kind of sort of trouble he would have gotten into.
I kind of want to see that version. We should probably build a bunch. We got 4 other
Or like,
Johnnies.
if you watched like the entire run of CSI and started taking apart the town, just saying.
Yep. Or he could watch all of Law and Order.
All right,
He
prosecutor bot.
That's right. He can get on the stand. Let's see. Is this me here?
Damn it, you klutz! Look what you did!
Error. Grasshopper disassemble.
So yeah, there's the setup for, I guess, his other catchphrase, and they talk for way too long about disassembling, and you can't disassemble, and
yeah. Boy.
Yep.
You don't need to play this very long. Just play it for like a second or two. So this car is careening around and shit's falling off this. I'm picturing if there's a deep fryer in there and it's all heated up and she's just getting cooked.
In case you didn't notice the actual foods on the side, I believe it's yogurt and fresh fruit.
At the Stephanie's Snack Shack.
Yep. Health and happiness.
I don't think she's ever worked a day in her life in that food shack.
So I have a lot of questions about this in general because she's 23 if you take the age of Ali Sheedy, and she owns a food truck and a house. She's doing all right.
It's in Astoria, Oregon. Yeah, everything's cheap there.
All right.
You know, especially in the 80s. Basically, they were giving houses away. You know? She moved into the Goonies house after they got evicted. So,
but they sell that place if you just do a truffle shuffle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a law. Whoever performs it last is the new owner.
Oh, yeah.
Number 5 is alive.
That's the T-shirt.
That's the shirt. That's the pull quote. That's
the thesis statement to this movie. The rest of the movie goes on to support that statement.
All downhill.
Yeah.
So the line that I remembered from Fisher Stevens is this
me
one.
too. Yeah.
I am standing here beside myself.
Okay.
It's a funny line.
Yeah. It's the
You
line.
know? I mean, I will give Fisher Stevens credit. He does work for a living. You know, he's not letting anything coast, you know?
There's another line in this which must have been in the TV edit, and I'm curious. I'll get when we get there because it's the line, the other line for him.
Mm.
All right. I should have put on my reading glasses. I'm so old.
I hate DeBarge.
It is a little weird that they used the same song twice, like 20 minutes apart.
Just trying to make sure they get their money's worth of the licensing fee, right? So.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you do get about, I would say, at least 20 seconds of fixed camera, poor robotic puppetry driving.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I'm driving to my music. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep. And we went through the dance scene, and when he dances, and didn't mention the thing that the Saturday Night Live reference, because it's the same director as Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Well, that's coming up at 1:01:54.
Oh, is it? Did I just spoil that like a sucker?
That's okay.
I'm a bad person.
It's a bad movie.
You mean Saturday Night Fever?
What did I say? Saturday Night Live?
Staying Alive.
Oh, it's the same thing, right?
That's what I said.
So they threw the tracker into this old couple's car. Just play it a little bit more.
I hope you took the grass out of the glove compartment.
So
it's Oregon.
There's two possibilities for me here. Either that wasn't in the VHS version of whatever I saw this in, or 10-year-old me had no idea what that woman said and it didn't register.
Didn't get it. Yeah, but it's legitimately funny.
That is really funny.
Did a good job.
It's so Oregon.
What's weird is I think they do like the same gag in like Gravity Falls or something. Like one of my kids' shows has a thing where every episode it's Phineas and Ferb maybe? There's a show where like they do the exact same gag and the old couple always gets the object and has a retort like that. Let's see.
No. Did he try to molest you in any way? No, he's not that kind of a robot.
Do you know that?
Because, there is that kind of a robot, but this is a different kind.
That's probably Johnny 3.
Well, during this time, there are a bunch of rapey robots, right?
Just running the streets.
Marital aids.
They play Dungeons and Dragons, and they believe in demons, and they go out a raping. Jesus, man.
This show.
Yeah. Terrible. This is a bad movie. Also, that bow thing in her hair and the way their hair kind of poofs out, I can't look at her without thinking the old cartoon Annie. Because she's got like wide eyes and big hair. I'll dig up a picture and post it after we're done yakking, but she looks like this character, and it's weird to me.
Not Kathy, but Annie.
It's like I think the orphan, Annie, right? She's got the big hair and the bow. And the way that she like, speaks so stupid, like she's dumb. Oh boy.
Here we go.
Attractive. Nice software.
Yeah.
You sure don't talk like a machine.
And
Alive, Stephanie.
My note here is maybe he is that kind of robot.
Yep. He's a Johnny 3.
And I gotta think here, like I think they were trying to do like a Groucho Marx sort of caddish sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But oh man, it did not age. Like it
doesn't work.
It just seems creepy as hell now.
Yeah.
Maybe it did then too, but I don't remember it. I don't remember the leering robot at all.
Yeah, he makes a half a dozen sexually suggestive jokes over the course of the movie.
Maybe if they took the relationship to the next level, it would have been okay, right?
We try this. You're not going to make it, fellas. There are soldiers out there with bazookas and choppers or whatever the hell they call them now.
To this day, so in one line he refers to them as Hueys, and then he's told they're choppers, and then this is the payoff of that where he doesn't. Mm-hmm. If you and I have a conversation about helicopters, there is a pretty good chance that a voice in the back of my head is going to ask myself internally if they're called Hueys or choppers now. Just saying. There's another one coming up that's the same problem. This program goes down deep. It's unfortunate.
It's been encoded.
Yeah. With a very, very lossy algorithm. So yeah, here we go. There's. He's credited. John Travolta is at the end. He gets his name in there. Good for him.
Well, John Badham did Sting. It was Saturday Night Fever. That
Saturday
was
Night Fever.
Movie, so.
That's different than Staying Alive, the sequel, which I've also seen.
Oh, I was just talking about the song. Staying alive, staying alive.
Yeah, the sequel to Saturday Night Fever is called Staying Alive, and it's really bad.
I'm sure I've seen it, but
don't.
I'm not going to be suggesting it. My turn next week.
No.
Morning, you have to find yourself a new home.
This home.
Oh.
Stephanie home. Number 5 home.
Oh, number 5. You don't.
I will say, to the credit of the production, for the most part, the puppeteering on Johnny 5 is fantastic.
It is good. It's very, very good.
It's
in the service of a very, very bad story.
Yeah.
It's the same puppeteers as Flight of the Navigator. So every time you see Johnny 5, there's a little bit of Max's DNA in there for you.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wanted to point out, Nate, you're obscuring it with your bulbous melon. They have the Better Homes and Garden cookbook that I assume...
I've got that upstairs.
Yeah, I think I do too. I assume that when you buy a home, the mortgage company brings you a copy with your first home closing.
That seems about right. Yeah.
Got the table
Especially
for
in the
meat
80s.
temperatures in it. It's got how to make pancakes.
And he can spend the better part of a minute of film time making whatever batter splatter everywhere, and it's a real mess. And we get the return of Mr. Maga.
The thing is, so Commander Talk, you have a note here.
I do.
I don't want to step all over you, but the only thing I wanted to say is all these accoutrements, like the aprons and all the rest, they would get all gummed up and disable the robot.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. but he needs to have the right number of flair. Otherwise, the movie doesn't, break 50 million at the box office. So this is one of those lines for me.
You are not Apache.
Fresh OJ, not from concentrate.
So if you need OJ in my house, if for some reason I am going to serve you OJ in my home, if you find yourself at my kitchen table and I'm pouring a beverage for you, I will tell you if it is from concentrate or not. And it is because of that, not from concentrate.
I grew up on concentrated orange juice.
It is
that was
this
how
day.
we had orange juice in our house.
We keep the frozen stuff in the freezer too, but if I walk through the aisle and look at the orange juice and say will I put an orange juice in my cart right now? There's a voice in my head that's going to say, "Good, that orange juice is not from concentrate," and Johnny Five says that's good. It's weird when you realize.
Funny. Whenever I hear the words concentrated orange juice, I think of the Trading Places. These are frozen concentrated
orange juice, concentrate futures. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should find there's write-ups on the internet that explain the finances that are supposedly happening in that sequence, and to try to make sense of it.
There's been whole podcasts.
Yeah, it's very funny to me. Well, I just the idea that he took apart this car, or that Johnny, like, I always thought that was the coolest thing. You took apart a whole car in like 10 seconds. You are awesome, Johnny Five. I want my own Johnny Five. 10-year-old me had very, very expensive desires.
He is a 23-year-old Ali Sheedy, and one comes to you. And
my Johnny Five would be a lot different.
2 lasers, one on each shoulder.
Hey, laser lips! Your mama was a snowblower.
This is the other line I remember from this movie.
For sure.
When I was 10, that line was the bomb. Like, that was such a good burn.
It's not good.
And again, why does the outhouse explode?
Because comedy.
He tells you, don't light a match.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a really hard time with this movie.
Don't fire, don't light a match.
That's a dumb joke. I approve of that, actually. But, let's see. If you actually think about it, this scene is actually kind of macabre, right? Because he's like taking his fallen brothers and like mutilating them into like some sort of deformed zombie versions of themselves so that he can like play with their corpses. It's creepy, man.
He's just reprogramming them.
Yeah.
Just like if you reprogrammed a bunch of people who you just killed.
He turned one of them into Mo.
I don't know he killed them either. I thought of more of like a cult.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. I like the way you're thinking. Ugh, this movie, by this point in the movie, it is so bad.
Okay, so you have to play it for 5 seconds here.
This little fart of a robot is beginning to give me the red ass.
This little fart of a robot.
What is a red ass? What is it a hemorrhoid? And what is a fart? It's transmitted?
It's akin to a Texas chili bowl.
Or the dreaded Rear Admiral.
Yeah,
What are these things? I don't know. And
here's again more payoff. They just this Three Stooges gags.
And at no point did they call him Captain Scrotum, even though his name was Captain Scroter. And I was like, this is the most obvious joke.
They did make it.
I thought they did.
Once.
They did?
They made that once. He said scrotum instead of
in the
Schroeder,
last,
and they said same difference or something.
Yeah, in the last sequence.
Oh, okay. Well, at least that happened.
When he stands up for himself and triumphs over the bully. You know, the part where,
like
Rob is happy. Yeah. I like when they when the bullies lose, Chris.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Ogre was the
come on, Newton.
MVP.
Oh my goodness. I am sporting a tremendous Woody right now.
That's a lot of a line for a movie that is rated PG and was on TV.
Yep.
Yeah. Did they preserve that line in the TV version?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. I believe I remember that line. But with this stuff, it's hard to tell, right? Like memories, you know,
so glad we're
over
getting
30,
there
40 years, memories rewrite themselves so many times.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to get ourselves to the end here. This is the beginning of now the Goots learning that Johnny Five is in fact alive because of the Rorschach test.
Would Pope?
Because, of course, he answers like a robot, and then he answers like a thinking thing.
Yeah.
I hated this movie. Yeah, and I actually had warm feelings going into it, and then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this is not good."
Yep.
I was expecting.
I was expecting to be mortified by the Indian thing. Wasn't even like the worst thing. It wasn't even in the top 10 of the worst thing.
Spontaneous emotional response. I am alive, yes? Yeah.
Most awkward high five you could possibly do. Thanks,
It'd be
Goots.
funnier if it like he did grip and then ripped his arm off because he's in the kill zone of the robot.
Don't get within the 5-foot kill radius of a Johnny Five.
They spent a lot on helicopters in this thing.
They did. Somebody must have had a connection. Yeah, I heard it too. Let's get some marshmallows.
Let's get some marshmallows. I guess they wanted to like do s'mores or something over the corpse of the robot.
Yep. What a mean thing. She loved that robot.
Yeah.
And that robot loved her.
Well, so the thing I wanted to point out here is like all the animals she's going to leave behind and you don't hear another word about. And he comes out of this area that is right over the axle. And I'm like, there was never a moment where he could have modified the truck to continue to work.
They're going to bring him all to his ranch.
Yeah, they're taking all the animals to his 40 acres in Montana.
Yeah, that's a lot of animals.
Pull over, quick!
I hate the Three Stooges thing so much.
Want to be Kevin or Dave?
Just watch the road, okay?
Maybe Johnny. Yeah, Johnny Five.
Every sentient robot has the right to choose his own name.
We would never call him Johnny.
Or sentient.
Killbot. Killbot 17.
Murder.
That is Short Circuit.
Wow.
It sure was.
Yep. It's kind of the perfect movie for us to do, I think, here, but it is not a movie that I think I'm ever going to need to see again.
Yeah, I will say this for me is the one that has slipped the most in my memory. Right? I thought this was sort of, you know, as a C-level movie, and this is terrible.
It is not good.
Sure is.
So I do apologize. It was nice because I watched it like a year ago, like right at the beginning of the quarantine, but I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. I was just like kind of watching in the background.
You're doing other stuff.
To give this the full attention, like with the only thing that I'm doing is taking notes. This movie isn't worth that. But it's got some good lines. And it's got
But
some
it
good
did.
moments.
I know I watched the sequel too, and I can't tell you what happened in it. And I really have been thinking, what the hell happens in the sequel? I have to look it up on Wikipedia or something now because I have to know.
Well, why don't you just go and watch it, Rob?
You can make that your movie.
I remembered it as being worse than
Oh,
this. I remember
for
walking
sure.
out of the theater and being extraordinarily disappointed. So, yeah. But now, Rob, I think it's your turn. And you usually tell us good movies, right?
Yeah.
It's my turn.
It's Nate's turn.
I always come after Rob, which I appreciate because then I get the bounce effect.
Right.
All I have to do is select a movie that was not in Rob's VHS collection.
Something that has more than 40% Rotten Tomatoes.
Right, exactly. It's like being the good kid when you have a bad brother.
I would like to watch Miller's Crossing.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. I was going to put this on my list.
It's weird. That's weird because I just this weekend watched Lebowski.
Nice.
So I was actually thinking about going back on a Cohen trek. So I'm all in.
Is this a Sherilyn Fenn thing? No, what is this?
Miller's Crossing?
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
Oh, it's a good one.
This is I think, probably my favorite Coen Brothers movie. I love it.
It is good. I haven't watched this in 20 years. I'm glad to watch it. Gentlemen, so we say goodbye to the intertubes. Goodbye, Chris Devona.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Rob Roseboom.
And also, damn you.
Wait
Robert,
till you see what's happening next time.
Robert is alive.
No disassemble Nate Ostendorp.
No disassemble Nate.
See you guys.
Farewell, Nate Ostendorp. And I am Rob Commander Taco Malda, and we will see you guys Friday with some news. Bye-bye.